Yo, this is Terrance Gaines, aka Brother Tech,
And this is Nica Montford, aka Tech Savvy Diva.
and welcome back to the SnobOS Show, the show for Apple snobs, where we talk all things Apple and then some. We definitely want to thank you back to another episode of the show. This is episode 228 of the SnobOS Show, so we definitely want to thank everybody who has been supporting the show, listening to the show, sharing the show thus far. We do want to send a special shout out, as usual, to all those who are supporting the show financially. If you want to support the show financially, like starts at like $5 a month. You go to patreon.com/snobOScast, and for your financial support, you do get to watch the show live. So that means you get the show a little bit earlier, and you get exclusive content that you do not hear when we actually air the public show on Friday. So we definitely want to thank you for your support, and we want to give you a little bit of something in return. So, having said all that, we're going to jump right into the show. We always start with the lowdown. We talk all things Apple. So, the first one is Apple has released a new watchOS update, watchOS update 9.6.1. Doesn't seem like much is going on as far as fanfare in this update, with the exception of, I thought this was pretty interesting. WatchOS 9.6.1 includes a fix for an issue that prevents access to motion data for apps, third party apps, native apps that use the movement disorder API to track tremors and symptoms associated with Parkinson's
Hmm.
disease. So I just thought that was interesting because um, that's a feature or a sensor that I did not know existed. That, according to this story in 9 to 5 Mac, the movement disorder API was first launched in 2018 as a way for developers to offer passive all day monitoring via an Apple Watch. The API is able to monitor two common symptoms of Parkinson's, including tremors indicated by shaking and quivering detected by the Apple Watch. The API can also monitor for dyskinesia, a side effect of treatments for Parkinson's that causes fidgeting and swaying motions in patients. So I just thought that was interesting that we know that the Apple Watch can track our movement. We know the Apple Watch can track exercise versus just standing around. Speaking of standing, the Apple Watch can track whether you're standing or sitting. It can track
Has a fall? It has a fall detection in
fall
it.
detection, it has crash detection, it has all
Hmm.
these consumer facing things that were like, oh yeah, that's the Apple Watch. But again, like I said, the fact that they fixed this bug leads make means that this was an active feature that the third party apps and native apps use to monitor Parkinson's and other issues, that not necessarily uncommon, but we most think Apple Watch is tracking your fitness. So the
Yeah,
fact.
I'm surprised that this hasn't been one of their huge talking points because this is kind of a big deal to be able to, help folks with Parkinson's or other like nerve degenerative type diseases and well illnesses. So I like you, I didn't know that it had this capability. I mean, it's glad that they're, doing the fix, but maybe folks in that community are aware of it, but I had no idea.
Yep, yep, yep. So, like I said, I thought that was interesting that since they're fixing it, that means it exists. That means people are
People using
developing
it.
against it, and that means people
Yeah.
are using it. Exactly. All right. So the next story I got is iPhone Batterygate. Still hanging around. If you don't remember, Apple, according to Apple, they were. I don't want to. Throttling is not the right word. They were. What is the terminology that they used? Um, what's the word? There's a word that means throttling.
But it doesn't it's not called throttling.
Right. Apple, of course, didn't say they were throttling, but Batterygate basically was older iPhones
Mhm.
that were getting older in age.
Mhm.
Apple was slowing down the um
The way that
I
it
don't
charged?
no, it would, throttle the whole phone, so the phone would actually move a little bit slower so that the battery doesn't have to work as hard, which would then cause, the battery to die faster, or it could also cause the battery or the phone to catch on fire because the
Mhm.
battery was working too hard to keep up with the phone. So what Apple would do is they would throttle the phone to where the processor would work a little bit slower, the phone in general would work slower so the battery doesn't have to work as hard. Of course,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So of course, people, that just triggered, everybody's conspiracy theories that, when Apple slows down your phone to force you to buy a new one. Well, in actuality, they were trying to extend the life of
Prolong
the
the
old.
battery life,
Right,
right?
prolong the battery life, which would prolong the life of the phone, but of course, people didn't see it that way. So much so there was a class action lawsuit. This was way back in I want to 2000 no, even before that. God, it was so long ago.
First
Anyway,
emerged 2016. I'm on Wikipedia, and that's what it
okay,
says.
yeah, okay. 2016 when Batterygate happened, class action lawsuit. Fast forward to today, to where Apple has finally agreed to shell out money to owners of older phones. Again, if you did not sign up for this settlement or this claim as a result of this settlement, too late. So you would have to have it's estimated that claimants who had a deadline of October of 2020 to put their names on the list could get as much as $65 for their trouble. So it ain't hundreds of dollars, or you're not going to get refunded the
You're
total
not
cost
gonna
of the
buy a new
phone.
iPhone with the money.
Right. You may be able to buy an iPhone case, but you won't be able to buy an actual iPhone. And then again, like I mentioned, you just can't go click a link right now and get on the list. You
You missed the
would have
boat.
already have done that in October 2020. And I can't remember if I did it or not. I
I don't think I did. I don't think
I
I
want to
did.
say I did just because maybe at the time the link was just sitting in my face and maybe I clicked it, but I can't recall. So I'll be surprised if I get a little check from Apple. But again, like I mentioned, it seems like Apple has finally turned or closed the chapter on this battery gate. All
Well, I
right.
don't like I
Go
said,
ahead.
I don't think I did it. I don't think I signed up for it. If I did, I just don't remember. But I don't remember clicking the link because I would think at that time there were a couple of settlements that were coming out. And normally if it does apply to you, sometimes they'll send you like little card in the mail or you'll get
Mhm.
an email. And there was a lot of times I was like, I don't know, is this one a scam? And I was like, I don't want to have to go through and look at the email and look at all this stuff to determine if this is a scam or not. And I was like, oh, I'll do it later. And I don't think I ever did. So I don't think I get a check.
Okay. All right. Well, let us know out there if you do get one. I'll definitely report back if I get some extra money in the account, but I really don't think so because I can't remember if I did it or not.
That
All
was
right.
3 years ago. It's been a
Yeah,
minute.
right. All right. So speaking of new money for iPhones, if you used the Apple monthly installment plan, and basically what that was, Apple Card, excuse me, Apple Card monthly installment plan. Basically, what that means is if you purchase an iPhone on the Apple Card, you got the option to do installments of 12 or 24 months. I can't remember which one.
I think it's 12.
Um, what has changed recently is Apple has decided that sure you can use the monthly Apple Card monthly installment plan to purchase an iPhone, but the phone will have to be linked to AT&T, Verizon, or T-Mobile because to break that down, what I would normally do based on the way I sell phones when I'm done with them is I would buy an unlocked phone. I would buy it
Mm,
outright, not let me not say outright because I would use the installment plan, but I would purchase the phone unlocked. That means it was not linked to
to a
a carrier
provider.
because
Okay.
reason why I do that is because when I then go sell the phone, I can tell the prospective buyer
It's
that it'll work
unlocked.
on any
Any carrier.
carrier. You don't have to
Gotcha.
be on Verizon, you don't have to be on AT&T, you don't have to be on T-Mobile. any carrier. All you gotta do is stick a SIM in it and it'll work. Well, seems like Apple nixed my little brilliant plan
They
because
got on to the tricks.
yeah, because now if you purchase a iPhone through the Apple Card monthly installment plan, you have to link it to a carrier, not necessarily locked to a carrier because there's a difference. When the phone is locked to a carrier, that means you have to um you have to request that it be unlocked. And the reason why they lock it, Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, is so you can't then turn the phone on to another carrier. They want you through the life of the installment plan. I think Verizon them were doing like 2 or 3 years, something like that. Same thing with T-Mobile. So once you pay off the phone, then you can call your carrier and say, "Hey, I want to unlock the phone." Takes a couple days. You got to jump through some hoops. Then once you do that, then the phone is unlocked. Then you can go do whatever you need, do whatever you want to do with it, right? Um, even though that's locked to the carrier, Apple is saying the phone cannot is has to be linked. So that means when you purchase the phone and you purchase it on Apple Card monthly installment plan, you have to tell Apple what carrier you plan on activating the phone on. You can't just buy the phone and
Mhm.
they give you a phone and then you take it to a carrier and say, "Hey, activate this on my
My
line." I'm not
phone.
sure why they're doing that.
Hmm.
Um, in addition to that, they are saying, where is it at? Something about the watch too. Where is it at? Oh, yeah, here it is. Apple is also changing the monthly installment plan for the Apple Watch, and customers will be required to pay off the watch in just 12 months as opposed to 24 months. Apple now uses 12-month term for the watch, Macs, displays, and iPads, but the 24-month term for 2 years is just limited to the iPhone. So those are the
Okay.
new changes when you go to purchase a phone or a watch via the Apple Card monthly installment plan, which is not a big negative because again, they're not locking the phone to the carrier, they're just linking it. So um basically what happens is you can't take the phone from Apple without it being activated on a carrier. When before you could do that. And you can still
Mhm.
do that. Like if you don't use the Apple Card monthly installment plan and you just drop down 8, 9, 12, $1,500 on a phone, you can buy it without activating on anybody, and just do whatever you want with it. But if you're using Apple Card's installment plan, they want you to tell them what carrier you plan on using it on, and then you go about your business. It's still unlocked,
Yeah.
but that extra little step means that you will have to jump through some hoops when you go to do what
Resale.
else. Yeah.
And that's interesting. I wonder why, because I did say that I thought it was 12 months, but it's actually, like you said, 24 months for the phone, but 12 for all the other stuff. But I'm
Mhm.
interested why now when you use your Apple Card to do this, that you have to link it to a carrier.
Yeah, they
That's
just say,
interesting to see.
yeah, they just mention, but at purchase, customers will need to have a plan with a supported carrier, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile. Buying a SIM-free phone and linking it to a carrier like Mint Mobile will no longer be possible using installments. So think of your Boost Mobile, you think of your Mint Mobile, you think of your
Mhm.
Metro PCSs. I'm
Yeah.
assuming all those kind of fall under the same as the Mint Mobile, or maybe they got something out particularly against Mint Mobile. I don't know, but
I
they
don't know.
mentioned them directly. Maybe I don't know if Apple mentions them directly or this story from Mac Rumors mentions them directly, but it sounds like maybe the major carriers, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile said, "Hey, we want to get our cut."
These other ones are doing something and we don't
Yeah,
like it
yeah,
and we're
yeah.
the big bad people, so you listen to us. I think, this again, we don't know the reason why they did this, but it does do like a bit of a switcheroo on people. And if they got an Apple card, specifically for this reason or whatever, it does put a little bit of a wrinkle in, what people have been, using it for and doing for how long has the Apple Card been around? 2 or 3
Yeah,
years?
maybe maybe people, I'm thinking, like a hustler, my hustler cap on. Maybe people are opening up Apple Cards, buying 18 not 18, 8 phones
Mhm.
via the installment plan, not linking them to a carrier, and then reselling them to other countries for a profit.
Mm.
And then, paying the installment off, or maybe even not even paying off the installment at all, thinking like a true hustler is they probably got a card somehow, ran it up with iPhones, didn't have to link them
Mm.
to a carrier, and then the phone showed up in India, showed up in China, showed up in Africa, showed up, South America, wherever, and the people never they took the profits and skated. They
Mm.
never even paid off the installment plan. So Apple's like, all right, if you want to buy a phone, you either got to buy it outright or you got to tell the carrier, you got to activate it on the carrier's plan. So we have somewhat of a paper trail. I'm just
Right.
guessing. I don't know for sure.
Yeah. Could be. Interesting. Interesting developments.
All right, moving on to the next story. iPhones are still out here saving lives. Every once in a while, I come across a story to where one of Apple's features, saves somebody, and those stories are not slowing down. I got 2 of them that popped up in my feed that I wanted to share. Specifically, what's been going on recently in Hawaii. Um,
Devastating. Oh,
yeah, there's been a big,
wildfire.
storm that has washed people's houses away. There's been reported maybe close to 100 lives. Yeah, at least 99 people are confirmed to have died as a result of the blazes in Hawaii, making the disaster the deadliest U.S. wildfire in more than a century. Fires have destroyed dozens of buildings and other infrastructure, in turn, making it likely that cell phone service will be interrupted or unreliable for those attempting to call for help. Of course, everybody and their mama got a phone, but once that cell phone service goes away, now you've got a pretty
Useless piece of
yeah,
hardware.
brick, for lack of a better term, with the exception of Apple's emergency SOS feature that doesn't go off of cellular signals. It actually uses satellite,
Satellite.
which, um, you know the government uses, pretty much, people use for something that's a little bit more stronger, a little bit more reliable than cell towers. So according to this story, and it sounds like the way I read it, it's like, all right, I got to take your word for it, because the story starts off to where this guy shares a story on Twitter, and he starts it with my brother's girlfriend's cousin. I'm like, all right, off the bat.
That's kind of a few layers,
Right, right.
people.
Already, I'm side eyeing this story, but he backs it up with screenshots. And he says, my brother's girlfriend's cousin and his family were caught in their vehicle in Maui while the wildfire suddenly erupted around their car. Of course, no cell service. So Apple Emergency SOS was the only way they could get in contact with first responders, literally save their lives, according to the poster. And like I mentioned, he has a picture to where they screenshotted the fact that they initiated the SOS and they were able to see in real time as the dispatchers were coordinating with the first responders to know what's going on and to know where they are. So this picture says 5 people inside a white van between the ages of 18 and 30. Location, puts out their location, and he puts out an alert. Please be advised, fire everywhere. And he time stamps it around 6 o'clock at night. So this is all what the people are coordinating between the people who did the SOS, the dispatchers who got the SOS, and the dispatchers working with the first responders, was able to do all that and get to them within, according to the story, the group was safely evacuated within 30 minutes, thanks to
Wow.
the emergency SOS feature. For those who are interested, if you have an iPhone 8 or later, SOS can be used to call emergency services by pressing and holding the side button and one of the volume buttons until the SOS slider appears. Of course, you can then drag the emergency call slider, but the SOS service, um, I think is specific to the newer phones. I
Newer
think.
OS.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think maybe the 14. I think it's the newest one that does the satellite.
I think
And
so.
yeah, and I'm pretty sure, the 15 on up will do it as well. So I just wanted to put that story out there. And then another story was about the a different feature, not necessarily the emergency SOS, but the actual iPhone crash detection. Basically, what that means is if the phone detects it dropped or it's a fall, it'll actually prompt you to, do you want me to turn on emergency call? And if you don't confirm or deny it, it'll actually call it for you. So, according to this story, an up and coming 21-year-old musician in Burlington, Ontario, was rescued from a severe car crash in a timely manner only because her iPhone 14 was able to automatically place a call to emergency services to let them know she was in trouble. It doesn't say what happened, what caused the crash, but she was on her way to visit her boyfriend's grandmother and extended family. Again, it's uh, another stretch, a boyfriend's grandmother and extended family. But the area, of course, is primarily made up of forests and farms. Um, the iPhone detected that she was in a crash and sounded the alarm. The phone actually contacted a childhood best friend who was one of the primary owner's emergency contacts. So, in addition to just calling emergency services, it sends out a ping to a emergency contact that you put. Of course, you got to program in this under the medical in the health in the
Mhm.
medical field. I think you got to add emergency contacts, but if you
Yep.
do, it'll send out alerts, and it did send out an alert from the user's phone at around 7 o'clock on Saturday. Um, the emergency contact uh, contacted first responders and was told that paramedics are already on site assessing her condition and has summoned an air ambulance and firefighters to cut her from the vehicle. So basically, what happened is this girl got into a crash. The phone automatically called emergency services and it called her emergency contact. The emergency contact was like, oh, shoot, let me call, 911, whoever. She
Oh,
calls
hell.
911 and they're like, we already got it. We already on top of it.
We
So
good.
yeah, I just thought that was dope that, a lot of people, get bust apples chops for these devices being so expensive,
Yeah,
but it could very well save your life and I'm pretty sure
absolutely.
you can't put a dollar amount on saving your life or contacting you
Life
so
of a
you can
loved
help,
one, yeah.
right? So you can help those of you, your loved ones who are actually in danger. So I just thought that was a cool story. So,
It is, and I have to say the emergency SOS is fairly sensitive. Like I mentioned, earlier this year, I went on a trip for my birthday, and it was a fairly remote location, and as soon as I turned my phone off of airplane mode, the emergency SOS immediately kicked in because it thought I was lost. It
oh,
it
wow.
it thought it didn't know where
Like, what you doing
I
way
was
out
like, "What
here?
are you doing out here in the
Right.
middle of nowhere?" And it immediately kicked on and was like, trying to do something. I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa! I'm
Right.
supposed to be here. It's okay, it's okay." But it's just that precise that it can pinpoint that this doesn't look like a place you're supposed to be.
Right.
Maybe you need some help. But
Mhm.
again, like you said, people talk about the price, but in situations like both of these, it's like you're glad that you had, this
Mhm.
12,
You may not never use
$1,500
it,
device.
but when you
Right.
use it, I bet you be glad you
When
got
you
it.
have to use it, yeah, was it better safe to have it than to not need it than to need it and not have it?
Mhm. Yep. All right, so that's it for the lowdown. We're gonna move into second string where we talk all things tech. It looks like the streaming companies, the subscription services, they know that you all are forgetting that you have these subscriptions. And there's a study that was done that finds up to 200% sales boosts for these streaming companies and subscription services are due to pure absent mindedness, meaning you sign up for a free trial for a subscription or you only sign up for the subscription for 1 month because there's this show or this series that you've been dying to watch. You tell yourself, I'm going to cancel before the free trial, or I'm going to cancel after I'm done watching this. 3 months, 6 months later go by, you're still getting pinged for your credit card for that charge. So I just thought it was interesting. Netflix, Spotify, not just streaming services, Blue Apron, Uber, all these
Athletics, that has me on the hook. I
right.
have a reminder, like a monthly thing, because it's one of those things where if you can skip it per month, same thing like Stitch Fix.
Or put it
You
on
can choose to
hold.
skip it,
Yep.
right. And I bought something one time, and like I said, I put a calendar reminder, skip this month. Do I ever skip it? I don't.
It
Even though
just
I
shows
got the
up.
reminder, I just forget. I'm like, "Dang it."
And then it just
And
shows up
then
in your
next month,
mailbox and you're like,
yep,
damn it.
dang it, it got me again. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. I'm right now trying to decide whether or not I'm going to keep the free trial of um MLS for Apple TV Plus
Mm,
because which I want to say I got my money's worth, honestly, even though it was a free trial because I signed up for, the whole Lionel Messi thing because
mhm,
he super duper star soccer
yeah.
player, I want to say for Argentina. He comes over to America, signs with Miami
Miami?
to do my MLS right around the time they're doing this Champions League, which is kind of like a tournament for MLS and I think a league in Canada. I want to say it's something Liga MX. I think I'm not sure.
Something like that,
Anyway,
yeah.
Apple made a big deal of Lionel Messi coming to MLS because Apple TV has the streaming rights for MLS. So when they announced he was coming, made a big deal. And I was like, all right, I'm getting into soccer. I'm becoming a more and more becoming more, of a soccer fan. Let me sign up for the trial to see what's up with this Lionel Messi dude, which I knew he was good because I think Argentina won the men's World Cup. I think I want
Mhm.
to look back. I had to look back.
They
Somebody
did.
fact check me. Okay,
They
yeah, they
did
did.
because the salt I remember the salt guy was all over the field and touching it and trying to get him to, like, pose with him or whatever. That's the only way I remember that because that guy
Yeah,
was on there. Yeah.
yeah. I was rooting for. Yeah, I think it was Argentina because I was rooting for France
France. Yep.
because Kylian
Mbappe.
Mbappe, right, was playing when he's a superstar young kid, right.
So handsome.
So all that to say, all the way around this world to say, I signed up for the Apple TV Plus, just to see what the hype was about, and this dude is good. I mean, good to where it's like, dog, why would whoever he was playing for in the league, why did y'all let him go? Because this dude, I mean, he scored. When he gets the ball at his feet, he is a threat. And he has put up like 8 or 9 goals and like
Did you see the picture? He was in Publix with this kid just grocery shopping. And people were like, "Dude, you can't just be walking around
right.
here, like you a regular person. Bro,
Right,
that's
right.
that's not
Yeah.
you. You can't do
So
that."
so so all around the world to say I'm up in the air on whether or not I'm going to cancel it because this
Mhm.
this league that they're playing in and Miami was one of the worst teams in MLS. Now he's there. Now they've got a chance to win this league cup, which will put them in position for some other stuff down the road. So
And they got
all
all
that
the
to say,
celebrities coming to the game, and it's like a whole thing now.
when the first game he came, LeBron James was there, Serena Williams was
Serena,
there,
all of
David Beckham, one of the first European players to actually
that
cross
crossed
the
over to
pond
America.
and
Yeah,
sign up for MLS. This is back in late 90s when he did that.
yeah.
He did not make the same wave that Lionel
Mm-mm.
Messi did. I think David Beckham was on he was on the downhill, then he got injured. So for David Beckham, it was all kind of like, we need to figure out how to
It
prop
was
up.
towards the end of his career, but even though, Messi is older, he is still out here like
Mhm. Yep,
no
yep, and
joke.
he's giving people their money worth. When David Beckham was kinda
Absolutely.
more of a all show and no go,
Yeah,
but Lionel Messi, it's like this dude
he
is
got
good.
it all.
I was watching the game last night, I'm like, "Dang, this dude is good."
Yeah.
So all that to say, all the way around the world, I'm sidetracked, but
Sidetrack.
if you're getting your money's worth, definitely, continue your subscriptions, but I would advise users every 3 months, just go through all of your
Reassess.
subscriptions and figure out what you got and what you can get rid of, because these companies are banking,
On your
not
app
just
estate.
like we hope they forget. They are making upwards of 200% more because people are forgetting to, forgetting that they have these subscriptions.
Yeah.
So if you're using it, definitely use it. But if you ain't using it, don't be doing them no
So
favors.
save yourself some dough.
Right. Exactly. Because like for Netflix, you forgetting to pay your subscription or forgetting you got these extra fees or whatever the case may be. Netflix
Mhm.
is like, yeah, we making this money now. Let's cut off
They
shared
got the
passwords because
Birdman
we making
hand
all this
rub.
extra money, right? When they would,
Right.
if they couldn't depend on the absent mindedness, they may be, a little bit more fair to their end users. But since they making money hand over fist, they getting greedy now. All right.
Mhm.
So the next story I got in second string is there's been a massive Discord data breach. Now we use Discord a little bit. I've used it, to with other groups,
Mhm.
so I'm a user. I'm not necessarily a heavy user. I'm
Not
not
a
the
power
type of,
user.
yeah, I'm not a power user. I'm definitely not the type of user to where I created a custom um Discord link. So if you're like a heavy user or a power user and you're using it to stream your video games and you're using it to, make money indirectly
Mhm.
from Discord, you can go on Discord in this feature to where you can actually, it's called discord.io. It is a service that allows users to create custom links for their Discord channels. So if I was to say, yo, brother Tech, Discord streaming, I'm streaming Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 2 to 4 p.m. If you want to catch my streams and my replays, go to brothertech.io. And I use
Mhm.
Discord.io to create that link. And I say brothertech.io /, I don't know, Call of Duty streaming. You click that
Mhm.
link. It's a special link because it has brother tech in it. So it's like a custom / vanity link that people can click on and it takes them to wherever I want them to go. Well, according to this story, a hacker stole the data of 760,000
Yikes.
users and has posted a sample on breached forums in order to confirm that this ain't no joke and to potentially sell it. As a result, Discord has decided to say, you know what, we're not about to play these games. So we're just going to stop the operations of Discord IO for the foreseeable future. And
So my
basically,
thing is
go ahead.
my thing is sorry to interject, but I'm interjecting. My thing is 760,000 users already had their data stolen.
Mhm.
So shutting down the service is going to do what exactly?
I
It
don't
would seem
know
to me it would make it easier to fix it because again, you already have
the manpower on it.
you have the right and you have the visibility on it. So
Mhm.
instead of fixing the issue, you're just going to turn it off.
I
I
don't know.
mean,
Maybe it
I don't
was
know.
that again. Maybe they looked at what all was stolen in the breach and was like, yeah, we we're just gonna shut it down so we don't have to worry about this later, because they got non-sensitive information like your user ID, information about your avatar, your Discord IO registration date, your last payment date. They also got potentially sensitive information like your username, your Discord ID, your email address, your billing address, your salted and hashed passwords, which I have no idea what that means. Um, but um they did not get payment details, like, they didn't get your Stripe or PayPal information, but they did get your billing address, your email address, your Discord ID, your username, internal user ID, game information. So they got a lot of information that then can be used with other information that people can get to actually create a profile of you specifically and then go and steal your money. So I'm
Yeah.
assuming that Discord was like, all right, they got too much. Let's just shut the service down so current users are not continuing to make these links because people don't read, people don't keep up with the news, and it's like, let's go and shut it down. The negative of that is they shut it down. So these
Yeah.
users that have been using it and creating these custom links and been sending people to all these different places, links, if you make a good link and it's got some money behind it, meaning that if you're linking to something that makes you money, people click those links for years and years and years. I've got blog posts that I haven't blogged in forever,
Mhm.
and it's still out there on the internet and people still click the link. And I've got an affiliate selling something, affiliate or sponsor or whatever the case may be. Every once in a while I get a Amazon check in the mail. It'd be for like $2 or $3, but it'd be
But you
on
nonetheless.
right, but it'd be off a link for something that I ain't promoted in years. So all
Yeah.
that to say, these links live on forever. So I'm assuming, the negative of that is if you are a good streamer or you created a nice um campaign that's paying you because people are clicking on these links, now they can't, or now they don't work. Now you got to go back and figure out a way to, fix the link on the back end or create a brand new link, which breaks,
Yeah.
the original link. And if you can remember where the original link originated from, so it's a whole mess.
Yeah, because I went and looked because I knew what a hashed password was. I had not heard the term salted password. So I went to look it up, and the salted password is that they basically it's basically to safeguard your password, and they inject a random character into the password. So they're basically trying to trick you into thinking, "Oh, I have the password," but no, you actually don't. You have the password, but it's it has other stuff in there that doesn't make it the real password. So I
Right.
was like, I was interested to see what they meant by salted because I had not heard that term before. So I was like, that's
Got you. So,
interesting.
and specific to that message, is according to Discord, the salted and hash password, this should only concern a small number of people from before we exclusively offered Discord as a login option starting in back in 2018. While your password was encrypted to industry standards, if it was not unique, we urge you to update any other site that might have used this password. Again, please don't be reusing passwords for multiple sites, because when something like this happens, if they get your password off of Discord and they figure out that you also bank at Bank of America, also use
They
Amex,
got your emails, they can go and try it. It's like,
then they
let's
already
go to
got
all.
your email
Yeah.
address and they got your billing address. So all they got to
Yep.
do is figure out where you use this password, how you log in, and go in and change everything, your billing
Yep.
address, your email address, and everything else. So all that to say, it goes without saying, if you are a Discord user, specifically if you're using the discord.io site, well, you can't do anything because the site is stopped. But at the very least, if you were a user, you need to go change your passwords. You need to update the two-factor, because Discord does offer two-factor authentication.
Yep.
You need to strengthen everything around Discord that you can, especially if you were using the discord.io site. Now, if you wasn't and you're just using Discord to, join communities and chat and whatever, and you wasn't a power user, I would say still change your password.
Yeah.
But you
I'm
can
gonna go and change
feel,
mine.
yeah, you can
Even though
feel
I have
safe.
two-factor on mine.
Right. You can feel safe that as long as you're not, again, not reusing passwords and not using simple passwords, you're using some sort of sense when it comes to managing your passwords, you should be all right. So
Yeah.
all right, so that is going to do it for second string. We're going to move into for the culture, where we talk anything social or anything popping in the social media, and good stories. If it's too good to be true, in many cases it is.
It
I hate to
usually
have
is.
that mindset, because it limits you in the opportunities, because you're always being a skeptic and a cynic. You're always worried about when the other shoe is going to drop, what's the catch, what's the angle, what are you trying to get at, how does this benefit, you're trying to help me, but how does this benefit you? right? So that attitude, the attitude that I have, and I'm self-aware, so I know I got it, probably keeps me from a lot of opportunities. But what it also does is it doesn't stop anybody from taking all my money either, which is what I'm getting to with the story that I popped up in AP News. Michael Orr, if you don't remember who he was a football player for the Baltimore Ravens, had a pretty popular or pretty successful NFL career. But what made him popular was the fact that this movie called The Other Side came out with
The Blind
Sandra
Side.
Bullock. So I'm sorry, what say?
The Blind Side.
Yeah, what I say?
Other.
The Blind Side. This movie came out with Sandra Bullock, and it recaps or highlights how Michael Orr came to become a professional NFL player. According to the movie, this family, comes across this kid. He's houseless, and they kind of adopt him as a member of the family. They
Mhm.
look out for him, they protect him,
Mhm.
they provide insight, they help him out. Fast
Teach him how to
forward,
play football
teach him
apparently,
how to play football, apparently, teach
because
him,
he has some disabilities
according
apparently.
to the story he
Yeah.
does, according to the movie rather,
Right.
they help him out, teach him how to play football, like Nica mentioned. They teach him, how to be a better student, how to be a better person. Fast forward, he ends up becoming a NFL player, right? So that
Mhm.
sounds like a good story. They looked at this family,
Helped
looked
him get
after
into
this,
college, helped him with his grades, got him a tutor, all this stuff.
all
Just
this
saving
stuff.
this poor black boy.
Yeah. Fast forward to now, a prominent Memphis couple, the couple represented in this movie,
The
with a
Tuohys.
yeah, with a long-standing relationship with former NFL player Michael Orr, want to end their conservatorship that he's challenging in court. So basically, what has happened, according to the stories that I've read over the weekend or earlier this week, was the Tohies,
Tuohys.
Tuohies,
Tuohys.
the Tuohies, this couple wanted to adopt Michael Orr. According to Michael Orr's recollection, now that's made public, he was under the assumption that they were going to adopt him,
That they did adopt him.
that they did adopt him. Fast forward to now, they never according to his story, they never adopted him, but they, according to his story, allegedly tricked him into signing a conservatorship. And
A
basically,
la
it's
Britney
conservatorship.
Spears.
Where he said, yes,
A la
i.e.
Britney
Britney,
Spears.
yeah, i.e. Britney Spears, to where this couple, the Tuohys, pretty much controlled everything financially speaking relating
All
to
his business
Michael,
decisions.
all
Yep.
the business decisions, any sort of opportunities financially, had to go through them first.
Mhm.
Um, Again, he said, I thought they was adopting me. They never even, I'm not, according to him, I'm not related to these people at all. What you think when people adopt you, you are legally part of
They're
their family.
right.
According
That's
to
how
Michael
adoption works.
Orr, they told him we're going to adopt him, but since he's 18, some other stuff, conservatorship is the way to go because the arrangement will work best if a conservatorship was signed. So now, he wants full accounting of assets, considering his life story produced millions of dollars, specifically with this movie, which actually moved on to get Sandra
Sandra
Bullock
Bullock and Oscar.
a
Yeah.
Oscar because of this movie, loosely based on his story. He didn't get,
Mhm.
according to him, allegedly, he didn't get none of that. Again,
But
the
their bio
arrangement.
kids did.
Say what?
Their bio kids got a cut of the profits.
Right, but their actual kids got some money. The Tuohys
Millions,
went on
actually.
to start this
Yeah.
foundation. They went on to do all these amazing things. Allegedly, you could relate it to them blowing up in popularity as it relates to this movie. According to the Tui family, they are responding and saying, we're upset that he is doing this. He knew it was a conservatorship. He, according to them, allegedly, he mentioned it in his autobiography that he mentions the conservatorship. They're so upset, besides themselves, and devastated. According to them, he knew that he had not been adopted. Um, the Tuohys, or according to them, Michael Orr mentioned that the Tuohys being conservatives for him, like I said, 3 times in his autobiography book that came out in 2011, that it was a conservatorship and not an adoption. Um, the couple said that the Tuohys and Orr have been estranged for about a decade. According to them, he went as far as to say, if you don't give me my money, I'm going to plant negative news in the press, and was unless you pay me like $15 million, all these things. So it seems like there's a lot going on. Um, but ultimately, it's just sad that, this story about this football. Oh, and going back to what you were saying earlier, according to him, the movie that he didn't have any sort of
He got
creative
nothing from.
control or
Yeah.
input on, falsely recounted parts of his life, including the part that they helped him learn how to play football. They portrayed him as this big, dumb, slow football player that all I know
And
how to
they
do.
they portrayed him as intellectually, delayed.
Right, right, right. And they took it upon themselves to bring this guy under the wing and protect him and all these things, you know, um, when not in actuality, when according to him,
When
allegedly,
it appears.
right, right, that, you know, uh, again, like I said, they didn't give him a dime from the movie, a whole lot of things.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to get your take on, I mean, I guess two sides could be true, but the fact that they, affected
It
this
looks
whole
kinda
story. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
it looks kinda shady. So, in the movie, he is already enrolled at the school, the private school that they meet him at. So,
Mhm,
he's already in the school. And, again, Memphis, he grew up in the projects. He kinda went from house to house, sleeping on couches. In one scene, it was like, I think he sat on the bed or something, and he was like, he never had one of these before. And she's like, oh, a room. And she's like, no, he's like, no, a bed. So they made it really seem like he,
he wouldn't have went nowhere
j-
without them.
he was nothing without them. He didn't know how to play
Mhm,
football. He didn't know how to read. They just passed him on through the system, and he needed their protection. And
mhm,
he's calling the mama and calling him his brother. They are calling him sister, brother. And apparently I think they met him when he was like 16. So if you go from having little to nothing, because I don't think it's disputed that he was poor, and then these people were already rich. I think they own like 100 and something like fast food places like Pizza Huts,
mhm.
Taco Bells. So they were already wealthy people. So the fact that they were already very rich, and then, they go through this process of saying, "Hey, we see this kid, maybe we can kind of, do something." And, they welcomed him into their family, made him feel like a member of their family. Like I said, they got him a tutor because, he was behind, because he had just been passed along through the system. And I think now that, we think about it, now that we know, this has happened, there was a part in the movie where the NCAA started investigating them, because they said, this is very suspicious. You have this kid that's really good at football. This family were huge Ole Miss boosters, and he
Mhm,
ended up choosing to go to Ole Miss, even though
mhm,
he had offers from all over the country.
mhm.
And a part in the movie was the NCAA investigator. She was like, it's just very strange, that this family has taken you in, provided you food, housing, a private school education. And they were like, the NCAA is worried that, rich white people are going to just go and start picking up black kids, that have like some athletic prowess. And his contention was, this is my family. And in the movie, he says, well, I chose Ole Miss because my family goes to Ole Miss. So in his mind, this is his family. He
Mhm.
called,
And he's
Leanne
repaying
Tui
them in a
mama.
way. Mhm.
Right. And I'm sure he probably felt that he owed them. But in, coming out to present day when the movie came out, people are like, well, why he didn't say anything back then? He did. Because, people were clowning him. The players are clowning him. And he was like, I was already a 5-star athlete when I met
Mhm.
them.
When the movie came
I,
out. Mhm.
was a very smart student. He was like, I was a gifted student. So it's one of those things where he probably trusted them to look out for his best interest. And
Mhm.
they probably were using, and again, this is a fresh 18-year-old. They met him when he was 16. So if they explained the whole conservatorship to them, they probably, I'm guessing here, I don't know, wrapped it up to make it look like it was adoption. Even though they said it was a conservatorship, it may have been presented to him like, oh, it's the same thing as an adoption. But, because you're 18, it's just called something different because
Mhm.
technically you're an adult. But again,
Because
you can be 18 and still in high school, right?
uh-huh.
So it's one of those things where, again, I think he had trust in these people that they were looking out for his best interest. And when it comes to the movie made over $300 million.
Mhm.
I read in one of the articles that each member of that family, of the Tui family, got over $200,000 for the movie, and they each got 2.5% of the revenue. So
Mhm.
if you do some quick math, that
Mhm.
2.5% of 300 million is like 7.5 million that the
Mhm.
biological son got, the biological daughter got, the husband got, and the wife got.
And and
And he didn't get
and
nothing.
which probably they are, I believe them, this story says they don't need this money. They never needed this money. Mr. Tui sold his company for 220 million. I'm thinking that's referring to the fast food restaurants or whatever
Mhm.
it is, right?
Right.
To people with money, right?
Mhm.
One, in general, there's no such thing as enough money.
Nope.
Number one.
Always be
Number
more.
number two, let's just say they are rich and they're already have money, right? One thing I would say, people in general love their alma maters.
Mhm.
And I'm pretty sure that the Tuies loved Old Miss
Yep.
enough that they would be willing, this is all me, this is all conspiracy, this is all me speculating.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure they were willing to risk risk some things in
For their
order
alma
to
mater.
give back to their alma mater. And the way they gave back to their alma mater was to find and guide this young man
Mhm.
to Old Miss.
Yeah. And
So,
then and his coach, his high school coach, benefited as well because he ended up getting a coaching spot
of
on this
course.
school at the school as well.
So, and this was
And
all
his tutor ended up going with him to college to be
right.
his tutor at college,
So
according
this
to
is
the movie.
all, and this is all before, according to the historical chronological dates of the actual events. This happened way before the movie came out.
Oh yeah.
So, so you know, the movie came as a bonus later. I'm pretty sure the Tuies was like, we did our job by getting
Mhm.
this young man into Ole Miss. That was the whole point. We love our alma mater. We need to help him out any way possible. Let's go find some talent. So they pretty much scouted Michael Orr for Ole Miss, which is what a lot of boosters do.
Mhm.
And I'm pretty sure they got some money under the table. They probably didn't need
Absolutely.
it, but again,
Who's
they
gonna
didn't say
turn
no.
down free money?
I'm pretty sure they didn't say no. And two,
Mhm.
even if they did say no, they still wanted to benefit their
Their
university,
school. Yeah.
because everybody does. Anybody that's been to and graduated from a college or university has, you know, has some allegiance to
Yeah.
it, and they're willing to jump through some hoops, if not giving away all their money.
Yeah.
If they can't do that, they're going to do what they can to big up their school. So I think that
Yeah.
was the original
Yeah.
reasoning behind it. Probably didn't have nothing to do with the money. Now, of course, the money is a good,
A good
side
benefit. Yeah.
side piece, right? But the fact that looking into this conservatorship, according to AP, the TUI said they set up to the conservatorship to help Orr with health insurance, which if he was adopted, he'd be under their health insurance,
Hmm.
a
And if
driver's
they were
license.
rich, they could have just paid out. They could have just paid out for it.
Right. A driver's license. He's already 18 and going to college and is a football star. What do you need a driver's license for? And being admitted to college, which if he's a super athlete, he was going to college anyway.
Anyway,
In Tennessee, specifically a conservatorship in Tennessee, removes power from a person to make
hmm,
decisions for
for
themselves.
themselves.
And it is often used in a case of a medical condition
Mental
or
health. Yeah.
disability, like somebody got into an accident, they're in a coma,
Hmm.
they they've lost their ability to reason and think and things of that nature. So then you have them do a conservatorship so they can pay medical bills, pay hospital bills,
Someone can help them.
power,
Yeah.
right. But Orr's conservatorship was approved despite the fact that he was over 18 years old and had no diagnosed physical or psychological disabilities,
Because these
and
people are already rich and connected.
connected. So
In
they
the and
were
in
like,
the movie, she said that she goes to church with the DA or the state attorney or something like that. She made
"Mhm."
reference to knowing someone, high up in government that they're friends with in the movie. And
So
I'm
they can help
assuming
him
that
out.
translated. Yeah.
But in actuality, they trying to help out the college,
Yep.
trying to help out themselves
Themselves,
on the
their
side.
family. Yep.
And then fast forward to this movie coming out, like I mean, according to them, they said, or where is it at?
But if they
Uh,
didn't need the money, then why did they take it?
right,
Or
right.
why didn't they make sure that he got a cut from it? Because it is
Uh,
his story. If it wasn't for him, then they wouldn't have their foundation. They wouldn't have this movie. He's the linchpin in all of this. And what
right.
this says to me is for them to come out now and say, oh, they're so broken and they're so hurt and they're so sad. But you did this.
And you
They
still had the conservatorship in
and
place.
you still had it. And this man is like almost he's like 37.
Right. Now I'm
Why
pretty
didn't you do
sure,
it when he got out of college?
right. I'm pretty sure they didn't take none of his NFL money, any proceeds or
Mm-mm.
whatever to after that.
Hopefully not. Yeah.
Hopefully not. But the fact that it still was up, because if they was really looking out for him, like you mentioned, they would have
They would
canceled
end it
or
a long time ago.
ended it as soon as he was able to take care of himself, whether that was in college or when he got signed to the NFL. The fact that he's still contesting this thing years later,
And they're making it seem like they're the ones who are ending it. No, and they're trying to say he was trying to what's the
threaten
word?
them and
Threaten them. No, he's basically saying, "I thought I was your child
not
for
only
20
that,
years,
y'all got all
and you're
this
telling
money
me
from
you're
this movie
not.
I didn't get.
I didn't get none I didn't get any benefit from this relationship at all. You and your family got all the benefit. And now you want to be, oh, I'm so sad or oh, I feel bad. But 20 years later is just now. That's how you, to me, that's how you know that they are full of you know what.
And
Because if
mhm,
they, if, if he, if he knew that he was in a conservatorship, he would have had it ended. But
mhm,
he thought that he was their child.
mhm,
So why would you end something
right. Why
that,
would he divorce his parents?
why would he divorce his parents?
Right.
Right. They
Yeah.
completely took advantage of the situation.
For the whole for me, I don't think that, and again, like I mentioned, the movie wasn't the reason. According to this story in AP, it says the couple simply didn't adopt or because the conservatorship was the fastest way to satisfy the NCAA's concerns that the
They were
Tuohys
trying to get him into
were
Ole
simply
Miss.
steering a talented athlete to Mississippi, their alma maters, where the Owers had later attended. Of course, that's why they did it. I refute now. Now, I'm pretty sure. I'm not saying I'm pretty sure. There are families who bring in uh, kids from foster care,
Mhm,
or end up adopting kids
mhm.
out of the
'Cause
sheer love
yeah,
of and sheer wanting to give back and wanting to help somebody who necessarily can't help themselves.
yeah,
I'm pretty sure there is. I'm pretty
yeah.
sure most cases are just a family that's
Well,
deciding to
that's
give back, you
and
know?
that's if the thing is sorry to cut you off, but Sandra Bullock, the actor who played Leanne Toohey, she adopted 2 Black kids from Memphis because of this movie.
Mhm.
So, she adopted her son, when he was a baby. So, she's basically had him his whole life, and her daughter, who's I think is a couple years younger, I think she adopted her when she was 3. So, her playing this role was like, "Oh my god, this is what I want to
It's
do. This is what
impactful. Yeah.
this has fundamentally changed me that now I wanna go and adopt some Black kids from Memphis."
Mhm.
And that's what she did. So, there are people calling for her to return her Oscar or whatever, but I'm like,
Mhm.
she played the role that this is what this family told these people was a story, and this is what they wrote, this is what they directed, and this is what she acted.
Yep.
The story that she was told
And
was their
shame
life.
and then shame on people for shading Sandra Bullock because of course she ain't.
Right.
She's an actor. Tripping.
She
Stop
ain't
tripping.
got nothing to do with this,
Relax.
and her partner of 8 or so years just
Recently
died,
died.
like, a couple
Yeah.
weeks, yeah. So, it's one of those things where people are like, "Why didn't he say anything before?" Apparently, from what I'm reading, he just found out last year that these people weren't his parents.
Right.
He's been spending he's 37, he met them when he was 18. This is, 2 decades of him thinking that these are his parents. Come to find out, these not his parents.
Right. And the fact that they say, well, he knew it was a conservatorship because he mentioned it a couple times. Yeah, because y'all told him a
He thought
conservatorship is
conservatorship
basically like
equals
adoption.
adoption.
Right. It's
Right.
basically like adoption, but we got to call it this because the NCAA is tripping. And he was like, oh, okay, bet.
Okay. And he trusted them again. This
Right.
is still, even though he was 18 at the time, he was still in high school. He's still a child. They met him when he was 16. So for him, this was family, and he had no reason to believe that they were doing anything negatively against them because again, they brought them into their home. He called the
Mhm.
lady mama. He called their kid's brother and sister. They treated him like a son, like a sibling, all those things. So why would he question it?
Right. And which really leads me to believe that something is funky in the air here.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I think he got married a year ago to a
Mhm.
black woman.
Mhm.
And I'm thinking, sis
She
was
was like,
like,
"Yo, you tripping
something
letting this
is a
slide."
some I'm thinking she just really probably found out what, once they got legally married, it's like, we got some documentation, we got some paperwork. She probably
Mhm.
really started looking into it and was like, this isn't right.
Right,
They
right, and
that
then
ain't your parents.
right, and then what really leads me to believe that something's amiss here, according to the story, agents negotiated a small advance for the Tuohys from the production company based on the book
Mm,
written by Sean Tuohy's friend.
mm.
And
So they
then
keeping it all in the family.
well, not just that, small advance, small advance, and then
Small, what is small to rich people?
right, and then they say, that included a tiny percentage of the net profits divided equally among a group that include or they said in a statement. I ain't never heard rich people mention anything around money with the adjectives small
Small and
and
tiny.
tiny. It's either money or it ain't. And the fact
And
that they trying to
honestly,
minimize how much
Yeah.
money they got. We know y'all got paid. Come on, let's stop
So 2
playing.
point they said so the percentage that I saw was 2.5%.
Mhm.
And again, the movie made over 300,000,000.
Right.
So 2.5% of 300,000,000 is $7.5 million. That's
Mhm.
no small sum.
Mhm. And they're
That's no
saying the
small sum.
attorney said they estimated each of the Tuohys and Orr received $100,000 apiece, and a couple paid taxes on Orr's portion for him. Michael got every dime he had coming. They said
Hmm.
it's like, come on, man. I don't in the way capitalism and wealth and money works around here. Again, goes back to my original thought. I don't put nothing past nobody. Call me a
And
cynic.
$100,000 for your life story that
Right.
made $300,000,000? Come on,
Mhm.
bruh. And
Right.
why would he get the same as everybody else when it's his life story?
Right. Right. Yeah. So call me a skeptic, call me a cynic, but yeah, I don't know if I believe all, and it
I
could
don't be
be,
I
and it
don't be
and
I don't believe nothing from these people. I think they saw a vulnerable Black
it's
kid
all
who
opportunity.
didn't have anybody. They saw an opportunity and they
Mhm.
seized it and they made it work, and not only for themselves, but their friends who wrote the book, who the agents who worked the deal, the teacher who helped him
And
study, the
they
coach who got them there.
why
Yeah,
didn't they go move forward and eventually adopt him?
right.
Why would they
You
say
couldn't do it then because the
right,
NCAA, then why not keep the adoption process going
right,
concurrently as a conservatorship? You can do that.
right, right.
One doesn't negate the other. You can do both. Why did you stop the adoption process?
The
Why?
the
Because the
fact that
adoption process was never started.
the fact that they never adopted him leads me to believe that this was an opportunity that they were going to take advantage of, if not for the money solely because they were already
For the
had it,
prestige for their school.
for the prestige for their school that they brought in. They scouted this talent and they served him up to Ole Miss, which is what boosters and scouters and family members and alumni,
And they were known boosters of the program.
they
So
do it
yeah,
all the
yeah,
time,
yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah, just sad that
I hope he gets his money, but more than that, I hope that he now that they have like four him and his wife have like 4 kids, so he has like his own family, and I think in the movie, he they took him out to dinner for something, and his brother worked at the restaurant they were having dinner, and even at the draft, that brother was there.
mhm,
So, he has family, I'm sure once he got with them, they became a bit more distant. But it's one of those things where I hope that he can find some sort of peace with what he thought his life was for 20 years. Because again,
mhm,
for 20 years, he thought that this was his family, his parents and his siblings. And all that has come crushing down. So the emotional impact of that has to be significant. And the fact that now the people who claimed they were his family, treated him like, they were his family. Now they're saying, "Oh, we're so hurt. Now they're trying to say he's basically trying to extort us." No, he's
mhm,
basically
sit
saying,
down,
"Give me what's mine, or we can
mhm,
go to court and get it done legally. I'm giving you the opportunity to pay me the money that is owed to me, and then we can quash it and go our separate ways." But they're making it seem like he was extorting them. No, he's saying, "Give me what's mine and we can go
mhm,
on about our lives." But now they're trying to flip it and make it seem like he's the bad guy. Like,
mhm. This
these are
and this is
horrible
why
people.
this is why you don't turn the cheek. This is why
Mm-mm.
you get what's owed of you, regardless of your disposition of being, I just want to, go on my merits. I'm reading this story about him being talking about not being a fan of the movie in the first place back in
Yep.
2015.
He didn't like the movie at all.
But his mannerisms, his disposition was like, I just want to be known for my hard work. When people, like you said, the other players kind of make fun at him, poke jabs at him, he just kind of shrugs it off because that seems like his disposition. He's like, I'm a
Mhm.
hard worker, I'm a humble dude, I'm a modest guy.
The part they did
So
get right, he's like a gentle giant, like
right.
a big teddy bear. Yeah.
Right. So I totally can understand the idea that when the movie started coming out and the checks, he started seeing the dollar signs of how popular the movie was, and probably questions arose to him then that, hey, this ain't what I thought it was going to be.
Mhm.
I need to check into this. I need to exert my, you know, um, ideas, my thoughts about how this thing should go, or
Mhm.
make sure I correct people, and more importantly, talk to my family,
Mhm.
the Tuies who put this thing out. Instead of doing all that, he's kind of like, man, I'm just going to work hard. I'm just going to do
I love
do
football. I'm gonna
good.
go
I
play
love,
my game. Yeah.
I'm happy that I made it, and that's just good enough for me. No, that
Mm-mm.
ain't good enough. You need to
Assert
go
yourself.
after
Yeah.
everything that is owed to you, because
Yep.
if you don't, somebody else will.
And a
So,
whole family and friends package have made
mhm.
a ton of money off of you.
Yep, absolutely. So don't you can be a gentle giant and you can have a loving, trusting disposition, but don't let nobody play you for a fool, especially you know
Don't be no sucker.
right, especially if you know something's up. It's one
Yeah.
thing for him to never know what was
Yeah.
happening until just now. I
Yeah.
want to believe that he kind of knew them folks wasn't about nothing way before this. And
He
I think
probably
he
he
just
probably sussed out some things, but didn't wanna
and I
maybe
think he
believe it
no, I think
or
he believed it. I think he just turned the other cheek, which is what
mm,
a lot of people are brought up to do, and moved on
especially
with
in
his
the
life.
South. Yeah.
And moved on with his life. And then like you mentioned, he moved on, got a family. The wife was like, "Yo, this ain't right. We
Rub
need
me
to
my
bring
money real
we did."
quick because
And
we
it
got
probably
these
ain't
kids.
even
They got
about
4 kids.
and even still, because he was an NFL player, made money. I don't think
Yeah.
money is the issue. I think the fact that his name, the way they the way they benefited
Besmirched
off of
him.
his name
Yeah.
without any sort of input from him, probably is what is nagging at him and then his wife.
It's probably nagged to him the whole time because like you said,
Mhm,
like I said, he didn't agree with the movie before, and now we
mhm,
know why because it was a lie.
mhm.
And it's one of those things where now he's like, I'm retired. You have children and you're looking at your legacy and it's like
You don't want his
this
legacy to
isn't
be this
right. And I
whack
got to make this
movie.
right. Yeah.
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 All right. So I hope he finds some solace, or I hope these people apologize, or I hope they are publicly shamed for any
Shame them.
for any, if not any money trades hands. I hope they are publicly shamed if it's true. All this is alleged. All these are
Look
claims,
like
right?
it is alleged and we want to make sure it alleged, but
Right. Right.
personally, I think that is truth to
Yeah,
this.
and if it is true, I just hope they are publicly dragged for taking advantage of this young cat. Because again, like you mentioned, the NCAA was like, we don't want white people going into the hood just plucking black kids out of the neighborhood like they fruit, just to get them in the NCAA, which again is not far fetched, and I'm pretty sure happens all the time, which is why the NCAA was
And
like,
that's
hey,
why they put it in the movie because
right.
that's what happened. And it was a
Mhm.
sister who was an investigator. She was like, "This don't seem strange to you?" And he was like, "No." And she
Right.
was like, "This don't seem strange to you."
Yeah. All right.
But I
So,
think you want to see the good in people, so yeah,
what do you say? If you like it, I love it. When in fact
right.
I don't love it.
He didn't love it. He did
Or
not love it.
yeah, you know how black go with God if that's how you want
Yeah,
to live your life. All
yeah,
right. So moving on to the hookup. We talked in the pre-show about Nica and her recap of the Beyonce concert that recently came to Atlanta.
yeah.
You have to be a member of the Snobbish community in order to hear that whole recap. But what I will say is, following along with my timelines of the Beyonce concert, I had pet peeves. And my pet peeve as it relates to this Beyonce concert was I saw a lot of footage because people, this is an experience. So,
Mhm.
of course, people are going to take pictures, they're going to do video, the whole thing. So, my timeline, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram,
Flooded with Beyonce.
flooded with Beyonce, flooded with a bunch of grainy, fuzzy, blurry pictures and videos of this experience. These smartphones are too expensive and their cameras are too good for
Use
y'all
that
to be in
cinematic mode, people.
2023 and sharing pictures of Beyonce's concert with a phone that looks like you took it from a daggone flip Motorola Razor back in the day. You spent $1,000 on this phone, and that's the best. That's the best picture quality I'm gonna get out of you.
You want to
So
represent your queen that way?
right. So the best, probably the most practical, the easiest tip I can give you in general when you whip out your phone to take a picture or record a video, take your shirt and clean the camera lens off before you snap a picture, because it makes no sense for you to, like you said, spend all this money for this phone, spend all this money to go on these
Tickets,
events,
outfits,
and
pregame,
not just
postgame.
Beyonce. The Beyonce stuff is just what triggered it. I've seen videos people going to fancy vacations, going to extravagant weddings, and all these places to where you want to capture the moment. Why on
Taking
earth?
pictures of your food with a jacked up lens.
Why on earth would you take a picture with an expensive camera and the image that you want to put out is blurry and fuzzy and grainy, all because you was touching on the camera lens and it got fuzzy? I'm pretty sure if you take your phone and take your shirt and wipe it off and then take the same picture of the same thing that you just took, I'm
It'll look
guaranteeing you
so
there'll
much
be a
better.
200% difference. So my tip, it ain't all technical. You ain't got to go into no settings. You ain't got to turn nothing on. You ain't got to enable nothing. You ain't got to download nothing. You ain't got to install nothing. All you got to do is take your shirt and wipe your camera off
Wipe it
before
off.
you take a picture.
Yep.
So that is my tip for the week. And if you don't have anything else, Nika, I think
Nope.
that is going to do it for this week's show. Please tell the folks where they can find you.
You can find me at Tech Savvy Diva pretty much everywhere.
All right. And you can find me at Brother Tech, as BROTHATECH. If you want to interact with the show, if you want to download the podcast, if you want to rate and review it, if you want to share with family and friends, you want to connect with us on social media, you want to send us an email, you can do all that by going to snoboscast.com to get all the details. And until next week, we are out. Peace.
Bye, everybody.